Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of Booking the Territory, the unprofessional wrestling podcast. For today, we're covering WCW Saturday Night on TBS from April the 6th, 1991. I'm sitting here with Doc and Not Hard Body Harper. The reason being is because, well, Doc and I haven't spoken in probably 2 weeks now. Harper is at work at the moment, so we had to move some things around to get the show done due to certain illness that I acquired in the last couple weeks. Doc, before I throw it to you, I just want to give a special shout out to our largest page contributors, Disrespectfully Classy, Marky Blassie, Mike Childry, Joe Weiss, good old Justin. Thank you for your generous support on Patreon each and every month. Dr. Blassie, thank you for all the medical advice over the last couple of weeks. And on that note, hey, Doc, let me take care of this too before I throw it to you. Shout out to Ronnie I, Big Kirk, or Big Kick, or Kirk. I can't remember which one it was when I took the notes. Darren, thank you for becoming BTT patrons. Some of you became annual patrons. Some of you became just new patrons. So thank you very much. And if you're not a patron, you can become one at tinyurl.com/Patreon BTT. Great way to support this show where you get tons of extra content each and every week, including this intro right now, where the patrons are going to get this almost a week earlier than everyone else. So, Doc, on that note, let me throw to you. How do I sound, man? Am I sounding good or am I sounding bad or what?
Well, I guess the best thing we could... What?
Nothing. I just fucking... go ahead. Proceed.
I guess the best thing we can say about you is that you sound like you spit out the ventilator to be here today. So we appreciate the effort. There's a lot going on because we are actually recording 3 days later than we normally do. So the news has had an opportunity to pile up on us here. So I think we're going to have a very robust discussion today. We've got, the NFL started last night. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm.
We had AEW completely implode. Just absolutely shit on the ground and then fall back in it. And then the story that has the wrestling world and, dare I say, the podcast world in a tizzy is our very own Menace has, we've got to choose our words carefully here such that we don't run afoul of the digital police.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say you caught a cold, but it wasn't a cold. How about that?
They say it's in the family of cold, so
it is. It's a cousin. It's a cousin to the cold. So yeah. We've gone through gallons of hand sanitizer. We've washed our hands until they're raw. We've stayed sequestered in our homes, and we've reached the point where Harper and I both caught a cold, and it was a minor inconvenience for both of us, and we kicked out and went on back to living. But as we know, it hits everyone differently, and apparently it got you pretty good. So I guess the first question for you is, and I'll ask a series of questions here to try to navigate us through this word salad landmine. How are you feeling today?
No, I'm getting back. I don't want to make people think it was more than what it was. I mean, I wasn't like I was in the hospital or anything like that.
Okay. How close? How did it ever cross your mind that maybe you needed to go?
No. The only reason is because I remember I was texting with Dr. Blassie, and he had asked me a couple times like, "How you breathing?" I'm like,
right.
I'm good, man. I start coughing and I kind of get a little winded from that, but that's only because you kind of like hacking up a lung. It's not like it wasn't like I was just sitting there, wheezing or anything.
So you weren't gasping for breath.
But no,
it wasn't like minute 17 of your matches with Rod Price where you were blown up.
Nothing like that. No,
okay.
Nothing like that.
So,
but go ahead.
No. This one's about you, buddy. So are you still experiencing any symptoms?
The messed up part is the energy level. Like I told you, like my mailbox is like a block and a half down the street. So 2 days ago, again, this is a week and a half after, first getting it and it going through various stages. And by the way, I want to mention, when we recorded the last show, it was a Tuesday night, the end of August, we recorded that. It was starting to hit me, like my throat was starting to get sore and I was fatigued. But it hadn't hit me yet. I just didn't realize it. I was like, all right, I'm going to get this minor thing that my daughter had and my wife seemed to be dealing with at that point. And it was the next day that the fever just, Montezuma's revenge just blasted me. So anyway, I'll walk to the mailbox. This is 2 days after the fever finally broke. So I had fever for like 5 days, man. And it was rough. It was rough, bro. That fever, that fever for that illness is no joke. My daughter, wife, none of them have fever. It kills me.
Yeah,
my wife was like,
I didn't have fever either.
My wife's like, because our doctor, Dr. Blassie, everybody's telling us, make sure you take your vitamin D. Make sure I am religious about vitamin D. I don't miss vitamin D.
Me too.
I'm also in the sun a lot more than anyone else in this household, besides my daughter.
I got you. Yeah.
I get more vitamin D than most human beings on this planet. Not to mention, too, Doc likes to play and joke and call himself White Lashley. I ain't buffed the stuff or anything, but I guarantee you I'm in the top percentile of people when it comes to cardio.
Okay, so I want to ask a question about that.
And I was hurting trying to go to the mailbox. I wasn't winded, but my legs felt like rubber.
Yeah. So, a lot of our listeners and our patrons have been following your journey and wishing you well out in social media. I just want to know how Sasha's jokes went over when she was asking you to just get on the treadmill and run your COVID away.
No, that wasn't happening, bro. Now, don't get me wrong. It crossed my mind for a second to like, all right, let me just go try to sweat this out. The problem was, bro, when you got 102-degree fever,
you don't want to move.
Just walking to the bathroom is a chore.
Yeah. Now, did she go on with her life, or did she help nurse you back to health?
I mean, she don't get it twisted. She didn't have the fever, but she was messed up for a few days too, and had to take some time off work.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing I want to tell everybody out there listening is, because we were talking about it over in our house, like, the people were like, well, how's the Menace doing? And I was like, man, I don't think he's going to make it. The real sign for me was that you missed work and how much work you missed, because you don't like to take work for sick. You don't like to take off work for sick so you can save it for your playtime. And you missed, I think, 5 days of work.
Yeah, it's not a lot. I probably could have pushed it further, but
you don't usually take days for being sick, and so to take 5 days, I knew you were sick. This time I knew you weren't playing for sympathy.
Man, that fever wasn't no joke, man. That's all I'm gonna say. That fever was some top-notch booking. Like, that was some real heat, brother.
But you're feeling better now, so it's obvious to me that the BTT prayer warriors,
oh God,
spent their time praying for you out of the ditch rather than the Queen of England.
No, let's not go there. I'm not.
I heard that the Facebook group was less than classy.
Oh my God!
The death of our
degenerates,
queen.
The degenerates in the Facebook group. If you are triggered by comments about the Queen, you do not want to get close to the BTT Facebook group. They were teeing off on the Queen.
Now, how do you feel about the term prayer warriors?
Bruh, I say this all the time. I believe in God. I believe in the power of prayer. But I
think I've said it on the show.
Warriors.
I don't think God is up there watching you with like one of those telethon thermometers that is filling up red with prayer numbers, and when it hits enough, he reaches down and touches you and clears the germs. I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm wrong, I'll gather together my prayer warriors and we'll go at it. Now, did it cross your mind as a former professional wrestler to start a GoFundMe for any of this?
Hell no.
Now, this may be a public service announcement, and I'm going to try to steer you towards helpful instead of complaining about this because you were complaining before the show. But we don't want to get this yanked off the tubes. What did you? I mean, did you just lay there and die, or did you take a couple of aspirin? What if we have listeners out there, I mean, it's still rolling around the community. So there's a good chance that somebody listening is going to get this. What was your course of treatment?
Bro, that's the thing, man. Almost everything was over the counter except for this medicine for my throat because it felt like I had swallowed a crushed up cup of glass. And my throat hurt so bad. So I had this lidocaine gargle for my throat. That wasn't over the counter, which would numb it. But even then, it was like, Jesus Lord, how do I mean, bro, I'm pretty sure I overdosed on Cipricol. They're those throat lozenger things, not Halls. I'm talking about the ones that got actually numbing type medicine in them. Man, I was popping those like Skittles, bro. Like I would do the lidocaine gargle, pop them things all day because I had a little cough, not much of one, and they kind of helped with cough too. And but that was the worst thing. That was one of the worst things. The two worst things were the fever and the sore throat. I mean, my throat's still. I mean, that's why I asked you, how do I sound? Because my throat is still like, it's not recovered. I mean, here's the thing, bro. There's no way I could have worked, even if I could have physically sat up and like actually sat there. I could not have spoken on a call. Like there would have been no way. You know, I mean it wasn't going to happen. Like I would have been there like a mute. People would have been like, "What is he there? Did he die?" I'm like, I couldn't
And all
talk.
of a sudden, you croak out, "I don't feel so blessed."
Yeah.
So, yeah, we knew you were sick. I mean, you said something about not being able to record, and I think Harper was mad. He was like, "You're still sick? Come on."
Yeah, I mean, he sticks his fucking tongue in his girl's booty hole and barely, dude. This dude, bro, he loses his sense of smell for 2 days. The first time
and starts drinking eggnog daiquiris to celebrate.
The second time he got it, I don't even think he had a cough. I don't think he had nothing. And it's Murphy's Law, bro. People like him, I just get jealous of. Like, how the hell, as reckless as he can be, not on purpose, just the way he goes through life. And I mean, the dude found a girlfriend at the height of it all, right?
That's true too.
Hey, bro, he's gotten.
And I didn't have the sore throat or the fever. I had a headache and I was super tired, like I couldn't keep my eyes open either. And I slept for like a day and a half straight. And then I was like, "Oh, okay."
Now the headache is something else too.
It's
I had the headache. I had a massive headache as well.
Yeah. So, and my daughter was the only one that had the fever in the house, but it only lasted for like half a day. So I mean, it's just weird, man. You caught the tough one, dude.
Who knows, man?
Well, I'm glad that our prayer warriors pulled together out in the BTT community, pulled you through this. Here's what I've noticed about your voice. As we get into this and we're starting to roll and chop it up and do our thing, you're starting to get a little bit more life to your voice than when we started. That open was pretty terrible, but we'll drag you through it, and I'm sure you'll be better next week, or maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I was starting to. I mean, Harper and I were holding auditions for.
Okay. Yeah.
What?
Right.
I mean, wait. We can't miss a week. If you die, you.
I was gonna.
Die, that's what Harper said.
That's nice.
That's what Harper said.
What I was gonna do, what I thought about doing, depending on how far this was lingering, I was just gonna call Crockett and be like, "Hey, man, I need you to do this with Doc and Harper one of these nights. Yeah, just get me by for 1 week." But I didn't have to call in the bullpen.
Would you say
Although Crockett did check on me.
This is one of the most closest calls we've had with not getting our show done?
No, I don't think so because we've had to do this before on like a Friday. I remember one time me and you both had like a sinus infection or something. We are like, bro, I can't record, man. We got to do this on Friday, and we did that. Or you were sick. That's what it was. You were sick, and it was a Tuesday, and you couldn't do it. And I was like, all right. And then I think Silva filled in on a Friday with me. See, that's the benefit. Everybody's like, I know a lot of time when it comes to timely things on this show, folks are like, man, I wish they didn't record so early. Well, the thing is, this is why we record early, because there's something. Doc's got kids, I got kids, married. Harper flies by the seat of his pants. You never know what kind of stuff you're going to fall into. So we always got to make sure, all right, not only is it recorded, it's edited, it's ready to go by that Thursday. And that's what recording a week and a day or two in advance usually does. So I don't think we were close to missing. I think we've had close calls like this before, just as similar circumstance.
And speaking of timely, I don't care if it's timely or not. I think we need to discuss what's going on in what can only be described the mess that is AEW. Bruh. All I know is there's a certain somebody on this show that has been saying for the last couple of years, don't believe that it's all tooth and gums in that locker room because it's a wrestling locker room. Do you feel vindicated now?
No, I don't feel vindicated. And before we jump into this again, this is getting to the patrons early. I'm hoping to drop this today as we're talking for the patrons. So if you're a patron, you're hearing this hopefully on Friday, September 9th.
If you're a patron, you also know what impact last night's game had on me and Half Pint's football picks.
Yeah, that's true too.
There you go.
That's true too.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, I want to, as we jump into this discussion about AEW and what's going on, there are two mindsets that I think everybody needs to have. One of the things that Doc and I have a lot of experience with is working in corporate America. And we understand how things are supposed to work as it pertains to employees and executive vice presidents and things of that nature. Now, at the same time,
bookers and overseers versus the workers.
Bookers and overseers versus workers. Okay, so there's an aspect, that aspect. There's also the aspect of this is a pro wrestling company that just happens to be, I'd say, the second biggest company, at least in America for sure, and arguably in the world, depending on where you put them. But now as I say all that, I have been wanting to talk to you about this, and I'm actually glad we had to wait a few days to record because there's been other things that have developed since then, since this all happened. Now, I don't feel vindicated by all this, but it just drives a point home that nothing is always perfect. I think we already knew nothing was perfect when Cody left, and there was an NDA, he wasn't going to speak on the reason for leaving and all that stuff. So this is not the first we're hearing about people not getting along in this company. This is the most vocal we've seen it, but this is not the first. But
okay, so
Doc,
do we need to talk about? Do we need to walk through
it.
what happened, or does everybody know? What are we doing here?
Yeah, we can talk about what happened. Go. You want to start?
Well, apparently, and here's the thing: I don't watch. The main reason I don't watch the show is I'm at a kid's soccer practice on Wednesday nights. And to be fair, it's not, the times I do watch it, it's not good enough to record and keep up with. That's fair. Now, I listen to Cornette review the show, and I'm up with, my problem is a lot of times when I watch the show, I'm thinking about Corny's names for people rather than their real names, and I get confused, like Penelope Pit Stop and Pizzeria Uno and all that. So I generally know what's going on, big broad strokes. I don't know everything. here's the real scoop for all of us out there listening. None of us know the true whole story because we weren't there. That's another piece of this puzzle. But from what I do know, basically and on some level, Hangman Adam Page went out there and cut a promo on Punk and kind of went sideways from I won't say script because I don't think they do scripts, but maybe, took some shots.
Went into business for himself based on what Punk said.
Right.
In a promo on AEW a few weeks back.
And so, as a result, they get to this most recent pay-per-view. And after their pay-per-views, they do these media scrums. And unless you're going to do some angles, that's the dumbest idea of all time.
It's a play on what happens in real sports, quote unquote real sports, even though a lot of this stuff is the work too, right? Kayfabe, brother. No, it's a play. It's a take from real sports, and I started thinking more about this. I'm surprised this hasn't happened.
God, that is
because of these media scrums. Because you're opening up things, you're giving direct access to wrestlers and reporters, and wrestlers who don't like things reporters say to them. And this is a different world in the NFL or NBA, where you see a player get mad at the reporter. It's different. It's totally different. Like the view on the sports media in that example versus in wrestling, where the wrestling media is smart to all of it, is different than in real sports, where a reporter's just being critical of your favorite football player, NBA player. And your NBA player is like, screw it. But the NBA player doesn't act like he wants to fucking knock out the reporter.
Let me ask you a quick question, though. I mean, it's standard protocol, isn't it, in wrestling to go out after the show because you're keyed up after the show, right? Everybody's got adrenaline.
Yeah.
And so you're hitting them when they got adrenaline. And I know they do post-games pressers in football, in every sport, but, it's different.
Yeah, it's not the same.
And I'm going to say this. If they haven't been using these to work angles, then shame on them.
So, agree, but let's get back to it. So you, like you said, Adam Page went into business for himself and pissed Punk off. The other side of it is CM Punk has got legitimate heat with Colt Cabana, and it was reported. I don't know what reporter did this. If Dave was the reporter or if it was Brian
Alvarez. It didn't sound like it.
I don't think it was either, or if it was Mike Johnson, or if it was Wade Keller. I don't know what reporter out there or legitimate, say legitimate in quotes, it's an oxymoron, wrestling media personality, journalist. I say that in the largest air quotes. I don't know which one of them actually reported this, but evidently there was a report that the Young Bucks and Kenny reported to one of these people that Punk got Colt moved to ROH or fired, and that set off Punk originally in this presser. Now, I want to say something, Doc. I'm a Punk fan, but I need to say something before we continue this. Punk is wrong dragging Colt Cabana's name through the mud right there. He could have made his point about whiny little bitches in EVPs reporting things to the media. He could have even brought up the fact that they shouldn't have said that he got Colt fired or moved to ROH. But he didn't need to air out all that dirty laundry that, whether true or untrue, it just didn't need to be said. Like, he didn't need, that was not the opportunity for him. He could have made his point without just talking all that mess about Colt, who's not there at that moment to defend himself. I didn't like that part of it. I thought that was just low class. Now, at the same time, yeah, I'm not a Bucks fan or Omega fan. So him calling them out was funny. I don't think you can do it in the grand scheme of things when you're a corporation, because I'm gonna go back to what we said a second ago about you and I having worked in corporations. You can, as the little man on a totem pole, and I know Punk is Punk, but you can, as an employee, call your EVPs effing children, and you're tired and frustrated and you're tired of working with effing children, bro. That's not how it works. So, I mean, I thought it was funny, but I mean, you can't do that. At the same time, I understand his frustration, because if that was reported and these whiny little, and I believe that they are trying to undercut him and cut him off at the knees because he gets over more than them from most. I understand everybody's not a Punk fan. I get it. I get why he feels the way he does, and I believe it needed to be addressed, but it definitely went sideways at that presser. What did you think as I say that?
So first of all, he has now made it okay for everyone in the industry like us to eat muffins while we
That was tremendous. He was eating the muffins the whole time.
licking his fingers, bloody face, eating his muffins, licking his fingers, cutting promos. Okay, so what did I think? First of all, AEW is not a corporation. They're maybe a corporate environment.
Okay, that's what I meant. That's a great clarification. Corporate environment.
The other piece to it is that in most of our shoot jobs, we can't do that. But it's a little. This is where it's a little more akin to pro sports. If Drew Brees wanted to call out Saints leadership, he could.
Yeah, that is very true. He could
Now,
but I don't know if he would call them whiny little bitches either.
Well, the question to your point is, should he? And that's a just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. So I don't get the whole point. Like, I get the feeling that Punk isn't well liked in the locker room from things I've heard, but you don't know what that means. See, that's the whole point of us not being there. It's like, is it because people are jealous? Or is it because he's a bad guy, or maybe not bad guy, but he's hard to deal with personally? And maybe the answer is a little bit of both.
Well, he's not the type of dude who, and I've been around dudes like this, that is afraid to express how they feel about things at any moment in time. In the wrestling business, there's that ruffles feathers. Like, and I can see how it ruffles those little whiny little kids that like the super kick.
So, first of all, I'm a big believer in, if you don't want people to explode the scene, don't start shit. So, and I live this personally, is if you don't like my response, maybe you shouldn't have started stuff, because I'm better at the response. I'll say anything. I don't care.
Okay. Are you saying you backing Punk when you say that?
My whole frustration with all of this is, we're going to play this like kindergarten and make everybody shake hands when there's a whole bunch of money to be made.
And I don't even think they're going to be playing like kindergarten. My prediction is, and this hasn't happened as we record this on September 9th, 2022, Punk's going to walk away. They'll say he resigned. He's going to leave.
He's got a torn pec now.
I don't care. Those things can recover. And the little freaking buffoons over there who, God, I just can't stand them, bro. They have everything about them is go away. Like, dude, I mean, I've been watching it, and let me tell you something. If Punk's gone, and I'm a Punk fan, but I'm calling him out. He's wrong for what he did here, especially with the Cabana thing. It's just dirty, bro. You don't do that. I don't care if you got, like, the whole point was to expose them snitching on the whole, going to the wrestling media. It wasn't to talk about the personal stuff with Colt. And we're only hearing one side of that. So I don't like that's wrong. Just he shouldn't have did that. But if he's gone and those buffoons and morons and jackasses are still there, I ain't got no time for that company. There's nothing there for me.
So I had a rare Wednesday off, and I actually watched the show this past Wednesday night, post fight. And it was so bad that Latrell was like, "Can you turn this off? It's kind of making me mad." He had never seen Orange Cassidy. He looked at that guy and was like, "What?" He looked at me and goes, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah.
He's smart enough to know that John Moxley can't draw a dime.
I wouldn't say that, but he's not my favorite, as we've discussed.
And I mean, there's talent in that organ. That's the frustrating part. So to me, all of this comes back to Tony Khan not running a tight ship or a wrestling company the right way. Because there's talent there. You can't tell me, even that I don't like Moxley, but with Moxley, and I don't like Omega, but Omega and Punk and Danielson and FTR and Lethal and Wardlow and God help us, MJF. You've got enough to do something. But it did. You know what? Watching Wednesday night made me feel like I felt like it was like Vince Russo booking without the questionable like treatment of women.
I say they got nothing for me as I'm FTR. I like FTR though, but it's just I think you got to give them a pass a little bit from the past Wednesday, September the 7th, only because they had to call an audible because of everything happening with the investigation. You know, that show was, you know, spit and duct tape put together late. They had the major shift directions. I mean, literally two of their champions, that trio's bull crap, and their world champion is stripped. So there's a big time audible called. I don't know. I wouldn't judge him on that. Now, as I say that, you know, I fast forward through it like generally weekly. I hit through it in about 20 minutes. I watch the people that I generally enjoy, and then I FF through the rest. It's just how I watch wrestling nowadays.
But let me tell you something. In a real company, the Bucks and Omega receive some sort of punishment as well.
This is the problem with this. This is the problem with it. I totally agree. Okay, if you're a quote unquote EVP, whether you like it or not, you need to be held to a higher standard. Not even need to be.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Bruh, you could have an employee. Here's the thing, bruh. Let me take it out of the wrestling context. You could have an employee stand up, get on social media, call you a mother effing elephant that likes to jab prosthetic limbs up your butthole, and that you are a worthless piece of human trash and can say ungodly things to you. It does not, and you know what? That employee will be dealt with heavily. But you, as the EVP, should not publicly, not even publicly, you should not react.
You have to rise above it.
You got to sit in your office. You got to take it. And you know what's going to get dealt with? Human resources is going to handle that situation. And it will eventually be dealt with by the people who can deal with it that are not you. Now, you may make a statement about it at a later time, but you, like Doc just said, have to rise above it. If you want to be an EVP, you got to act like a damn EVP. You can't just decide you're going to go knock on somebody's door and deal with it, even if, and I don't even want to hear this part, well, Punk said to come over to his locker room. You know what? People angry say a lot of dumb stuff all the time. And this ain't excusing his behavior because that was wrong. But at the same time, the damn EVPs, no matter how tough they think they are, and ain't none of them tough. The only one who I think could probably whoop me is Omega. The Bucks, I tied him up like a pretzel and just
we have a
spit on him.
challenge. Luke, get it in the ring.
Because they're not, bro. They're not men. They're just whiny little punks, and it's just dumb. And I don't like doing this, but it's just like, oh, we're gonna go knock on the door. Allegedly, all this is allegedly. We're gonna knock on the door, and we're gonna go give him a piece of our mind because he said he wanted to.
And then get sour when it turns on us.
Well, and see, that's the thing I don't know. So was it just because then you hear the conflicting reports? Was it just Punk in the room with his dog when they knocked and it's 3-on-1? Because if it's 3-on-1, guess what? At that point, I got to defend myself because I don't know what you're the aggressor. I know I called you over here, but I hate to say it, but now you're the aggressor. And then, or is even if Ace Steel is supposedly in there. I mean, there's so many reports about who was in there, who wasn't in there. A chair was thrown, bruh. I mean, the thing is, all that to say, I don't care what Punk said. He shouldn't have said it, but at the same time, you damn EVP, man. You don't just go over there barking up a tree.
Okay, so here's another thought. The wrestling business is predicated on one thing, in my opinion. Stars. You need stars.
Mm-hmm.
In this equation, who's the star? Who's the biggest star?
Punk's a star. I mean, it's not even a question.
Then I don't care your titles. That's stupid anyway. The playing field is tilted towards him. Sorry, that's the way the world works.
Yeah.
I mean, Drew Brees can say that about the front office, but if Ian Book says it, well, I'm sorry, son, but you need to learn to keep your mouth shut. Well, Drew said it. Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, the star can get away with a lot more.
I say this a lot around my house. You know, we have the State Fair of Texas, and it comes in September and October. I say, you know, the fair comes to town once a year. Life ain't fair. Yeah. Now, I think Punk's going to take time to recover, realize, hey, I don't want to deal with these children. I'm hurt. I got money. I'm going home.
I'm tired and I'm old. And I'm tired of dealing with effing children.
That's I saw. We're the stars in this equation.
Say that again.
We're the stars here.
You didn't like that tweet?
No.
I thought it was funny, man.
I'm sure
tired, I'm old, and I'm dealing with children.
I'm gonna chalk that up to you being delirious with fever.
That was great.
But the real problem here, the real problem in all of this is that Punk got hurt. Because otherwise, let's build some angles, bro. We got our next year of booking written out for us tonight. Thanks, boys.
You know, that would be the best part of it. Like, let's just assume it's not a work. I don't think it's a work. I think Punk's got an attitude, and I think they got their feelings hurt when he called them EVPs and they couldn't manage a target. I thought that was phenomenal. But like, if you and me, like, here's the thing, you know, we joke about everything's a work. Okay. I don't think it's a work. I think all this was a shoot, and I think that it would be great if they actually would turn it into an actual money maker. That's what a real wrestling promotion would do back in the day, but this is not.
And if the goal's not to draw money, because it's a TV product now. How about it would at least generate some entertaining television? Because what I watched last night or Wednesday night was not entertaining. And I saw don't say they put it together in a second. MJF was out there.
Well, yeah, because I mean, he had already come back at the pay-per-view. So I mean, I get that part, but the problem is they were still putting it together on the fly. I mean, they just suspended like 4 of their top talents. I mean, you know. I said top talents. I mean, they put themselves over nonstop. The Bucks and Omega.
So your thought is that Punk will quietly just not come back?
I think they're gonna here's my prediction. I think they force his hand and pay him a lot of money to go away, and the EVPs, which this is the dumbest thing known to man when we're talking about wrestling. They continue to serve their suspension for some time. They come back, and then nothing ends up happening. It's just, it is what it is at that point. Like, they're back, and, a year from now, this is forgotten. We'll talk about it for years. But in the end, Punk is pushed out and gone. And then I'm going to say something very controversial. Don't be surprised if that fool pops up in WWE. Like,
I can't see it.
I can't see it either, but just something like, let me tell you something. Anger will make you do. He would be pissed if they push him out the door and suspend him and essentially fire him and force him to resign. He being Punk. Anger makes you do things you would never do.
As the great Rage Against the Machine once said, anger is a gift.
It will push you to do things you think you would never want to do.
I just don't see the doofus son-in-law saying, here's a mic.
I don't either, but at the same time, the doofus son-in-law might think, we're going to draw some money here with this. I'm going to use him to help me because it benefits me. There's a lot of things you will allow to happen when it benefits you.
Then that would be the ultimate, did Triple H learn the lessons of Vince? Because Vince would do it.
That's what I'm saying. And remember, I told you this years ago.
But don't forget, Triple H was part of a clique that was vindictive and nasty, just like the EVPs are now.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Did he move on and learn?
And that's why I told you, like, Vince, I used to always say that. I was like, when it came to Punk and WWE, I was like, never say never, man. There's been a lot of people you would never think would come back to that place. And they came back, and Vince, for the sake of making money, was like, we're good. And I'm just saying, man, that, like, I would never say never when it comes to that. Now, do I really think it'll happen? I don't.
What would be great TV is if Vince showed up to manage Punk to get back at Triple H.
It's not gonna. Yeah. So let me. So my prediction is.
Company back.
My prediction is, Punk is forced out, whether he calls it a resignation or they call it flat out firing him, whatever. Punk is forced out. He's gone from there. And the EVPs, after spending some time suspended, end up back, and they'll be their trios champion again, blah, blah, blah. Do you think that's what happens too, or do you think Punk survives this and continues with AEW after serving suspension?
From where we sit, knowing what we know, I think he's gone too. I agree with what you said. The biggest problem is I feel like AEW, everybody's like, it's like a WCW. I think it's like WCW 1991 that we're going to review tonight. There's a lot of talent here floating around, but they're not putting together compelling enough angles and matches and storylines that you can sink your teeth in.
No, they got talent, man.
So the problems that this company has are going to exist no matter who comes and goes, because apparently this is how Tony chooses to run his company.
Yeah. No, I mean, disagree.
You've heard Corny say it. That guy needs a booker.
He needs a lot of stuff, man. I mean, I don't feel sorry for him, but it just.
I don't generally feel sorry for heirs to billionaire fortunes. So
that's what I said. I don't feel sorry for him, but he's in over his head with dealing with these egos, man. Like, this is, I got someone sent this to me on Twitter. It was like, well, what would Bill Watts do? Well, first off, like, let's be real here. It wouldn't even got to this point with Bill Watts. Right? First off, there's multiple layers. Let me clarify. There's multiple layers of this. What would Bill Watts do? And for as critical as I can be of Bill Watts on other things, Bill Watts, if one, in the day and age he was a booker, is not going to have a media scrum. Now, that's rule number one. Now, that's not to say that Bill Watts did not have issues behind closed doors. Now, because I don't care the wrestling promotion, whether it was Watts or Vince or whatever. There's, like, if you think fights in locker rooms are new, dude, this has been going on since the beginning of time, because you're dealing with and you're dealing with egos. Like the whole professional wrestling business is a fake fight. So it's egos about guys who think they should be more over than the other guy, or doesn't want to do the job, or doesn't want to look up at the lights, or this guy thinks he's better than this one. So you're dealing with constant egos. There's been, do you know how many fights I saw in locker rooms on the Outlaw Mud Show independent level? There was one case, I want to say the guy's names. People out there, if you're from South Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, you'll know this story because it kind of made the rounds. Someone I knew well power bombed another gentleman in the ring, and it was a stiff power bomb. One of this guy's friends came up to this guy in the back and goes, "Bruh, let me ask you a question. I heard you've been running your mouth that you did that stiff power bomb to my friend on purpose." And he looked up at the guy saying this. He goes, "And what if I did?" And the guy's like, "You're a fucking asshole if you did." You know what the guy sitting in the chair that power bombed the guy and was kind of stiff with the power bomb, you know what he did? He got up and jacked the dude in the jaw, and it was over like that. Okay? Fight over. Like, just, there's so many fights that happen in wrestling locker rooms that you're just not privy to, because generally back in the day, well, there was no social media for the guys to go run into, and the wrestling media and Dave, they might have got a hold of it and they may have reported it, but it didn't get the legs that it would get now. So this whole thing about guys not getting along, that's not new. This is old. This is old business. Like, it's what it was.
Hey, it's now, old business, but how we're handling it is the only thing that's new.
Well, it's because it's more public now. But what Watts? So the reason I'm bringing this up is I have no doubt in my mind, in Bill Watts' territory, there were fights like this that have been reported and alleged with this situation. So when people say, well, what would Bill Watts do? First, there wouldn't have been a media scrum for Bill Watts to suspend anyone from based on these actions. What would Bill Watts have done if his guys would have fought in the locker room? There probably would have been some fines handed out. He probably would have let them settle it like men and get it over with. And once they were done, get your head in gear, and we're gonna go do some real business now in front of. He would have texted them both. But I mean, he would have dealt with it like any other old school wrestler. You know what? Y'all better put this shit aside and get it situated. I mean, fight it out if you got to, like I remember Robert Fuller telling that story one time. I forget who was fighting in the back, and he was like, "Hey, you going to break it up?" He's like, "Hell no, I'm going to let them two bulls gas it out before I get in the middle of it." And that's exactly what would have happened. Because in the real world, fights don't last 20 minutes. Trust me. It's 5 minutes tops, and it's generally over, because one guy is going to get blown up or knocked out. Or both of them are going to be so gassed out, they're just going to pass out and they ain't got no more. Fights you see in movies ain't how it goes down. It's really quick, generally speaking, okay? So the dudes would have fought it and been over with, and then you'd have never heard nothing else about it. So, like, when people say, "Oh, what would Bill Watts do?" Man, this wouldn't even got to this point. Or if it would have got to this point, it wouldn't have been because of what was said in the freaking media scrum. Like, that's just, like, this just doesn't happen. I mean, what are we doing here? But that's just my 2 cents on the Bill Watts question I got. I had to bring that up, Doc, because a couple people sent me that on Twitter.
I just don't trust anything to be handled correctly, and for it to come out with anything that's advantageous to the viewing audience. And that's the disappointing part, is that there's entertainment to be had out of this, and none of it's going to happen.
But in closing, you do think that Punk will be pushed out, whether it's fired, resigned, or whatever?
Yeah. Okay,
and the Bucks and Omega, what happens with them?
But I'm also a person that believes, like, look, I got elementary school children, and if they're down at the school being a bully or causing a problem, they're in big trouble at home. But I'm also in the opinion that if somebody messes with you, the easiest way to stop it is to pop them. And I'll deal with the teachers.
You got to be careful with that when you're dealing with black children, though, because you can't tell the black kid to knock out the white kid.
As it turns out, and I hope this doesn't come as a huge surprise to anyone, I don't have any black children. So
I do. So I'm just saying, I can't just be like, knock that asshole out. It's not going to go over the same as it goes over with Latrell.
In kindergarten, somebody messed with Latrell's little sister, Latrella. And
Latrella? And Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And
you just made her black.
Well, Latrell and Latrella. So a little
All
boy
right.
was messing with her. She kicked him in the nuts.
That's nice. Classy.
And they called her to the counselor, and they're like, "Why did you kick him?" And she was messing with me. I mean, he was messing with me. She didn't get in
Yeah.
any trouble. And guess what? She didn't get messed with again. And so some of this is we've pussified the entire world. And again, I'm not advocating walking around punching people and whatever, but sometimes it's best to just, like you said, you punch somebody and it's over. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. One other thing too. I saw some memes about, like, who are we kidding? Punk didn't knock nobody else. Did you see his fights in UFC? Like, okay, so be
Come on.
realistic for a second. Punk's fighting world class fighters in UFC. That really is not an indication of if he can fight at all. I mean, he's literally against people who are professional fighters. I'm
Yeah.
gonna like, it's kind of hard to say he can't fight. I mean, he got in there.
And if we're being honest, Ace Steel is the one to worry about in that whole equation.
It's like, I actually think Kenny can go. Like, I'm serious, bro. I wouldn't fight Kenny Omega. I mean, I'm talking about the Bucks and having fun with them, and like, I really believe I could just knock them out with one punch.
All right. I'm telling the champ, get this in the ring.
Bro, them dudes ain't tough, man. Just look at them.
Let's get the contracts drawn up. Harper and I will both co-manage you, and we'll this would be great.
Bro, if Harper and I literally were put in an octagon with those two, the fight would end inside of a minute. I'm telling you. Like, it wouldn't even be a question.
Can I be outside sniffing ether?
Bro, Harper would grab one of them, whichever one, by the neck. And Harper is strong. Don't let the goofiness fool you with him sometime. He would grab them by the neck, get them on the ground, and it would be over so quickly. He would be mad at me for taking too long with the other one. And start cutting a promo on me because I was wasting his time. I'm just saying. Now, Omega, I think he can go, bro. And I ain't trying to fight him. I'm bringing a bat with me if that's the case, and I'm going to have to deal with him by other means. But allegedly. I mean, obviously, I'm just playing. But, yeah, man. But so in recapping one more time, Doc, you think Punk is pushed out, whether that's fire, resignation, whatever.
I'm not going to change my answer. Yes, I think he's done with the company.
And the Bucks, what happens with them?
Nothing.
No. You can't say nothing. Do they come back after the suspension?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. This is their playground. And this is where we all have artistic, creative freedom. And everybody has a say. And everybody plays nice. And 50-50 booking. And nobody does anything interesting. Because we're all afraid that somebody's going to get their little feelings hurt. Dude, in that media scrum, and you can argue whether or not the content of what he said, you didn't like it, I don't care. But that's wrestling. Talk some trash about somebody. And then let's fake fight to settle it.
I don't disagree with you. He just didn't need to drag Cole Cabana's name through the mud, bro.
Okay, fine. But the point is that scrum is completely misplaced because it's a wonderful avenue to talk some trash and get some shit generated.
I agree with that. I'm harping on.
And so what I'm saying is this is an instance. This is a sickness in the company. But the whole structure, bones, approach, skeleton of this thing is completely not correct. And so the process is broken. So it's a conveyor belt broken. So it's never going to lead anywhere good. It's always just going to spit things in the floor. It looks like wrestling, but it's never going to be the wrestling you want it to be because the parts aren't in place to make that happen.
Yeah, that's fair.
And let me ask you this. What wrestling promotion have you ever been around where having the boys have an outside say in what they're doing turning out well?
Just look at WCW and why it died. You can't have everybody can't have creative control, bro. You can't do that, man. If everybody has creative control, then nobody does, and it's It's just you gotta for Vince McMahon's all his flaws, and boy is there a lot of them at this point in time. The one thing that was good is and bad at the same time is, the buck stopped with him. It was he had the last word. So now he was a pathetic human being, as we've come to find out with how he paid for the punani and things like that. But see, this is why we get in trouble because you say stupid stuff. But just you have to have somewhere where it stops with them. Hey, one other thing, you heard me mention Colt Cabana at the start of this, and then we'll move on and talk about Saturday Night, and we got some 5-star reviews. So the thing about Colt Cabana, I know Cornette likes to bury him. I know a lot of people, quite a few people who know Colt Cabana well. They do nothing but sing Colt Cabana's praises as being a nice guy, a good dude, a quality human being. And these are people I really trust. One of them specifically feels this way, and he's one of the nicest humans I know. So just saying, I want to repeat. He did not need to drag Colt Cabana's name into that.
I want, to me, it's a he and Colt aren't going to get in the ring. Maybe they should, but
that would be compelling.
Yeah, let's talk some trash. Let's blur the lines. Let's get some personal issues involved, and let's have some. If we're not going to try to draw money, let's at least have some entertaining television. I mean,
I hate
to say it, but it ain't that hard. I mean, Tony's sitting there uncomfortable and scared when he ought to be sitting there rubbing his hands together going, thanks, boys. We just booked the next 9 months to a year.
Did you watch it and see how uncomfortable he looked?
I watched some of it, and he looked like he wanted to dig a hole up there. Well, don't provide the avenue for shit like this to happen and then get scurred when it does.
Bruh, this
whole thing, like, I don't like the Bucks and Omega, but this whole thing is Tony Khan's fault. I mean, it 100% is his fault for creating this kind of environment where things are this out of control.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all. You're 100% right on that.
If you're going to let it be out of control, work it to your advantage. And he can't even do that.
Right. You're absolutely right.
We still have old product to talk about. We agree on, I think, the steps of what's going to happen here.
You want to do the 5-star review? We got.
I do. We have a strange 5-star review from somebody I'm not aware of. It's Mud Show Shenanigans.
I forgot. I wanted to say one thing. One last thing about the Punk thing. I'm sorry. Brandy Rhodes tweeted out a day ago, as of us recording this, I've been way too effing nice on Twitter, and boy, would I love to hear what she's got to say about all of this. But proceed with the 5-star reviews. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, this comes to us from somebody named Duck112474.
That's Doug Bozard.
Oh.
He left another great review.
Well, I'm sure he's driving off the road.
Mud Show Shenanigans at their finest.
Did I see somewhere on social media that fool drives an hour to work?
He's got a long commute, and
boy,
he's got a long commute.
I need to throw a lasso over that workplace and drag it just a little bit closer to my house. I ain't driving a car an hour each way to get to work.
But we help him make it through, man. We help him make it through it, dude.
That's truly the service we provide, and why we are such great humans, and why we deserve this 5-star review. Remember Mysterio at work that used to drive like 80 miles each way?
I will never forget, because then one day you told me, you said, bro, I got in my car and was driving to Oklahoma, and from my house to the border was 80 miles or something like that. Maybe that's not completely accurate. And you were like, when I realized at that moment, that's how far that person drove to work each day. Von Erich thing.
I need to get Google Maps up and find my closest Burger King. Can I borrow your cooler for the next eternity?
Proceed. Please read his 5-star review.
Let's stop at that Burger King. That's the place where that guy died in the walk-in. Okay.
I think we set a record, Doc. We're an hour in and haven't gotten to WCW yet.
All right. Well, we're not making you get up and run around, so you're going to be okay. You're going to make it. It says, "Ite. Let's hope this doesn't get lost in the Apple Podcast Twilight Zone this time, like the last two I wrote. Whatever you did this time, Duck, it worked. Simply put, Menace, Doc, and the Superstar make my 90-minute commute. Not even an hour. That's an hour and a half. God damn. That's a Von Erich thing, dude. I mean, not that you should do it, Doug, but
No, don't. He shouldn't do that. No.
He shouldn't, but I would. Superstar make my 90-minute commute more bearable every Friday morning. So as we're recording this morning, we helped him out again because it's Friday morning in the real world. We gave him his ears like a hand job.
Okay, proceed.
Be it talk about Boudreaux busting at some guts, deaf girls getting railed, the old circle, dot, or how much hair Dirty Dutch has on his hind end, I never fail to howl with laughter at the irreverent shenanigans of this show. The best independent podcast on the planet, and the only one I give my hard-earned cans of spam to. Keep up the great work. P.S. Thunderbolt Patterson is great, and you all know it. Well, he got a little off the rails there at the end.
The Harper's line about Dutch's hairy ass has gotten the BTT Army, hashtag BTT Army, into a tizzy. Everybody was posting about it in the Facebook group, Twitter. It got lots of legs. Let's just say that.
And those legs were covered with fur.
Fur, boy. Just out the blue. He's like, y'all think Dutch's ass is hairy? Jesus,
Come
Harper. Grow up. Okay, thank you, Doug Bozar. We appreciate it, man. You've been with us for a while, man, so we're grateful.
90-minute commute, man.
Bruh, I don't even like to... Is there anything you like doing for 90 minutes outside of watching football?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought. Well, you're a Mavs fan.
Well,
so
yeah. Watching basketball.
Yeah, so football and basketball, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even want to bang for 90 minutes, huh? I mean, what do you need? An hour at the most?
Yeah, I don't know. 3-4 minutes.
That's all you get.
I subscribe to the Bernie Mac principle.
That's a 1-round heavyweight title fight. All right. Well, we got another 5-star review on Podcast Addict, and then we're going to get going into this week's edition of Saturday Night. This one came from Kelvo936 on Podcast Addict. It says, 5 stars for the best unprofessional pro wrestling podcast. And if you ask me, the most consistent podcast. These guys don't miss and haven't in about 5 years or so. Mike is the straw that stirs this drink. Doc has no filter, and I love it. And Hardbody Harper is the MVP every episode he is on. Great show. I love the review, Kelvo. Thank you very much. But one small correction, 7 straight years. Actually, about 7.5 now of never missing. Rona, pandemics, nothing stops this freaking train.
Family illnesses,
deaths,
vacations.
Yeah, we've been through it all, right?
I mean, the people have watched us live.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's almost like I know you people.
Doc, anything else before we jump into Saturday night? Thanks again, Kelvo. We appreciate it.
Well, so no, but this is going to be related to the show. Guess whose gimmick ate some more notes this week?
All right, so I'm getting the video version going because you just made a statement that needs to be said. We are an hour and 5 minutes into this, and we're going to talk Saturday night. The intro of this was all about Punk and AEW and the Rona and stuff like that. But so go ahead, Doc. Before we get into WCW from April 6th of 91, whose gimmick ate more notes?
Well, my gimmick ate more notes. And this time it happened right in front of me, too. It wasn't like I turned it off and came back and went. It was like I went to go add a second page and keep, working, and it just disappeared. And I was like, wait, what? What just
Have you shared this with LaFonda yet, that it's eating your notes?
No, I can't.
Oh, come on. What the
So here's the real problem with that.
Oh, God.
At some point during the week, we're not sure of your health. And, I made the comment, like, do you need me to kind of play by play? this week and carry more of the like, well, in this match this happened, and then in this match this happened. And
Oh
even
yeah,
if
I
you
did
had your
see you
note,
said that.
even if you had your notes, like you could send them to me and I could kind of walk through it. But I'm taking notes like, hey, I may have to like have a different role on the show, and then they disappear. And I was like, I closed the computer, put down the gimmick, walked away. I got to get some separation from this. And so I don't have the first 57 minutes noted. But
Okay,
since you're
we're
better,
good
I
then.
think it'll all work out. But this thing has an appetite for notes, bro.
So that we can buy Doc another notepad
No,
that he doesn't have
that's
to.
not helpful. Shut
No, no,
up.
no. Yeah, we're gonna. I
That's
need you
not.
all to become patrons at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT, and I'm gonna get him the biggest notebook known to man, and he's gonna fake it. We're gonna get him a real notebook. He's gonna fake like he's using the electronic one, so Mrs. Doc doesn't get upset. But we're gonna get him a pad. Just become a patron, tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT, so I can get him a nice actual notebook, a
No,
good
no, no.
pen.
You just hush. Shoosh, please.
All right. Okay. So
Have
then,
you seen that gimmick in WWE?
what? What gimmick?
The Alpha Academy?
I don't think so.
It's Gable and Otis,
Oh yeah. I've seen it. I haven't
and he tells them to shoosh. That's a big one in
Yeah,
the house. Like everybody does
shoosh.
shoosh please now around my house.
Oh, I can see Latrell doing that.
It's actually his sister that likes it the best.
Latrella.
Latrella.
We got a Latrell, Latrella, LaFonda, and Lawanda.
Yeah,
Lawanda doesn't live in
it's
the
your
house.
normal cracker ass suburban family. What's wrong with that?
Oh my God. All right. Well, let's get into April 6th of
Look at those
1991.
primary colors.
April 6th, 1991. Like I said, if you're just watching the video version of this, Doc and I just did an hour on Punk,
Everything.
AEW, the World, Rona, all kind of things here. But just like last week, this episode was taped March 25th of 91 at the Georgia Mountain Center. This was the second half of the taping. During the intro, we see the conflict between Luger and Nikita Koloff from last week. And then we go to the formal intro where Paulie says he'll talk to Ron Simmons, and Missy says, well, I'll be interviewing Ric Flair. And then Paulie and Missy continue to one-up each other on the commentary, and Missy's having fun and Paulie's having fun, and JR is babysitting these two, and it's pretty damn glorious. I feel bad for JR. We then immediately go to the first match, which is Ric Flair versus Joey Maggs. There's more talk on the match from JR about making sure you order the pay-per-view from Japan from a few weeks ago. Flair starts off the match by bumping for Maggs because that's what Flair would do every time. Real quick on that particular pay-per-view from this the Japan pay-per-view, Ben Martin sent me an email. I think it is on Daily Motion. It's not on YouTube and it's not on the network, but someone uploaded it to, I believe, Daily Motion, where if you did want to see that Super Show, you can watch it there. We're going to see some clips of it in the coming weeks and whatnot, but for now, if you wanted to look it up, just look up Japan. I think it's Japan Super Show, WCW 91, and you will find it there. On to the match. Flair's going to win this thing with the figure four, and I find that funny because years ago I remember talking to Doc, and he was like, hey, he never won a match with the figure four, unless it was a jobber on Saturday night or an enhancement talent, sir. So there we go. Flair wins with the figure four, and I got nothing else. And Doc, I'm assuming you got nothing because your notes were eaten, right?
Well, this went too long. He was too generous. That's Rick. This is going to start an episode where, hey, we're going to see everybody that's somebody tonight. This show is star-studded.
This is a good bit of folks in it. That's for damn sure.
They made sure to run everybody out.
Yeah. No disagreement. Okay, so we go to commercial. We come back. Before we go to Missy interviewing Flair, I just want to give you a quick reminder. when you see this show posted on Twitter or Facebook, hit the retweet or share button for us. It doesn't cost you anything, helps the show grow. A lot of people have found this show by retweets and shares on Facebook and Twitter and whatever other platforms we're on. Last but not least, I've said this and I forgot to say it last week. If you've always wanted to try out becoming a patron, but money is tight, you're just not sure if you'd like it, send me an email to bookingtheterritory@gmail.com and I'll send you some information how you can get a free month on Patreon. That's bookingtheterritory@gmail.com, where you can get a free month on Patreon. Just got to email me. Don't DM me on Twitter. Don't DM me on Facebook. I probably won't see it. Email is the best way, bookingtheterritory@gmail.com, and I can see about hooking you up, or not see, but I will send you the information on how you can take advantage of a free month on our Patreon. Now, on that note, Missy is interviewing Ric Flair after his match. Let's go to that now.
Welcome back to World Championship Wrestling, and I'm here with the World Heavyweight Champion, Nature Boy, Ric Flair. You know, there's a lot of controversy surrounding your belt, because I know you just got back from Japan, where you wrestled the big Japanese star Fujinami in front of 65,000 people.
65,000 screaming people, and as you know, Missy, my whole career has been built on controversy. I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done that. But if you watch the pay-per-view that's going to be played the whole month of April, it'll show you why. Ric Flair, once again, proved to the entire wrestling world that he was number one. You like that?
Yeah.
I'm getting you sweaty, baby.
That's okay.
It's that kind of night. You know, Missy, we stand here before the world, everybody out there saying, why can't we be like that? Why can't I be beautiful like Missy? Why can't I be a big stud like the Nature Boy? It's like this. She's Missy Hyatt, and I'm the Nature Boy. And as you go to sleep tonight, ask yourself one question: what caused it all this? Woo!
I think we need to go to the ring for a match or something.
Man, he flustered Missy there, man.
Jason Hervey don't play like that, I guess.
Jason Hervey. I can't wait to get to that stuff. Actually, I can.
Christ.
Yeah. Man, Jason Hervey was laying it down, man, huh?
Women will do anything for a little bit of power and money.
Wow. All right. Well, come on, grow up. Any other thoughts on that stuff right there?
That was good, man. Missy's got her act down, and Rick's fighting through the backstage stuff to deliver.
That might not have been a Techwood Drive studio promo, but him saying what's causing all this after a little flirtation with Missy, it had a little bit of 1986 flair written on it when he's cutting that promo there. That was my thought. I'm like, it had a little bit of that to it, but good stuff. So we continue and we go to Barry Windham versus Joe Barrett, and they gave this a lot of time, but Barry dominated it all. Eventually, he's going to hit the superplex off the second for the win. Doc, any thoughts here?
He's just, it goes without saying how smooth he is. And and 2 matches in a row, you've had Flair and Windham. We need to track the litany of stars that roll through this thing. This was not an ordinary Saturday night.
No, like you said, we have Flair, now we have Windham, picking up a big win. So there you go. I got a note here with Windham, and as I said, he hit the superplex. So there's a Braves commercial here, Doc, and I want to play it for a second because at the 24:03 mark of the actual episode we're watching, not our 24:03 mark, Braves commercial hits, and it's the 91 Braves. And we've kind of given the Braves a hard time over the years because they sucked for so long, right? Well, in 1991, they end up finishing 94-68. I believe they won the NL West. I believe this is the year that they went up against the Pirates in a hell of a series where they won, I think, 4-3. My baseball experts out there like
that's
Silva
about the time Barry Bonds started saying, "I need to grow."
If you see him during this time, he's not big, but probably so, yeah. So they won the NLCS, and then I think this is also the year they lost to the Twins in the World Series 4-3.
Is that where Jack Morris pitched like 10 innings? And see, I used to watch some baseball.
Me too. I watched all those series, man. Like, I didn't miss this stuff. Like, there was a time. You see, and here's the thing: that NLCS, I'm 100% sure that came on CBS. I know it was on regular TV. Like, there was no, you got to watch it on cable back then. The NLCS and World Series was on, well, World Series now is still on regular TV, but the championship series were all on regular TV. So I'm 100% certain I watched all 7 of those games. That was the Braves. I think they had Sid Bream then, and man, like, dude, I used to watch some baseball, man. I was pulling for the Braves back then. Anyway, but I mentioned it because we've given the Braves such a hard time. But 94-68 that year, and within
things
one
are
game,
changing.
The world title. Yeah, the world's definitely.
What
changing.
happens when you have Glavine, Maddox, and Smoltz?
Boy, can you imagine that though? They threw out a gauntlet at you.
What are you going to do with that,
bruh? They threw out a gauntlet at you.
Okay, if we could just get past Smoltz, we'll get to their 4th starter. Oh wait, Maddox threw 48 pitch complete game, so he's ready for game 4. Fuck.
Oh man.
We used to sit around in college and watch Braves games, and if Maddox was pitching, man, Braves score in the 1st inning. Well, that's a wrap.
Next matchup is Brian Pillman versus Mike Thor. To Doc's point, once again, another heavy hitter with Pillman. Jim Ross mentions that we're going to hear from this trash human being known as Grizzly Smith, who's going to be updating us on the NWA US tag title situation. Once again, let's go piss on Grizzly's grave. Dig him up and take a dump on him while you're at it and set it on fire for what he did to, underage girls. Pillman is going to hit a drop kick and then the lariat off the top rope, and Pillman gets the 3 count. Doc, any thoughts from Pillman here? Show him what he can do?
It's just inconsistent because they're pushing him as such a star. So, again, now we're at Flair, Wyndham, and Pillman. The stars are out tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it's 3 in a row. We're 30 minutes in and we've seen nothing but stars. I mean, real seriously. I mean, we're going strong here.
No
All
Trucker
right.
Norman, no Juicer.
Thank God. Okay, so after that, we need to go to an interview. It is Jim Ross and Paul Lee. They're going to talk about the Steiners.
Hold on. I like Paul with the 5 o'clock shadow because he looks even seedier with it.
Yeah, he looks dirtier. So Jim Ross, Paul Lee, they're going to discuss the Steiners holding all the tag belts, and then they throw it to, again, the steaming hot garbage, Grizzly Smith. Here it is.
And welcome back, everyone, to World Championship Wrestling. Jim Ross and Paulie Dangerously here at ringside. The tag team situation concerning the United States tag belts, a very controversial thing right now because the Steiners technically still hold the championship. They also hold the World Tag Team Championship and the Japanese version of the World Tag Team Championship as well. And, Paul, we're going to hear a comment from Grizzly Smith in a few moments about this situation. It's very confusing.
Well, I'm really confused about this because I've been trying to figure out how we're going to decide the United States Tag Team Championship.
Well, fans, let's hear this comment from WCW official Grizzly Smith.
Ladies and gentlemen, speaking on behalf of the WCW Board of Directors, the U.S. Tag Team titles have at this time been vacated. Since the Steiners are now the World Tag Team Champions, however, on May 19th at Super Brawl, the top 2 contenders to the U.S. Tag titles will wrestle, and the winner will be the new champions. The announcement of the teams will be made next week.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, so there you go. The scum of the earth.
Well,
says U.S. titles are vacated.
Even if he's not, he looks like they pulled him out of a bar to do that. And he's got that southern drawl. if we can't have the Southern boys, maybe we should have somebody that's not 112 years old from the deep South, from the Confederate Army speaking. On top of the fact that he's, a problem.
This dude. Continuing. Smith says at Super Brawl, the top 2 contenders for the titles, which will be named next week, will wrestle for the title. So we'll see that at Super Brawl. I guess we're going to crown a champion. Stay tuned for more.
It better be the Young Pistols versus the Freebirds.
Yeah, so that's the next match. We got the Young Pistols versus Terry Bronson and Tom Burke. Tracy Smothers is going to hit a super kick. I'm going to go to this finish in a second. It's very wonky. There's some botchamania stuff going on here. So Smothers, he hits a super kick, and it seems the 3 count happens right here. 1, 2, 3. But the match keeps going. Tracy and Steve keep going. They hit their finisher, and another 3 count happens. Jim Ross, the reason I'm pointing this out is Jim Ross calls the match over after the first 3 count, and then he counts it again, then the ref counts it again, and as we go to commercial, JR did seem confused by, wait, I thought we already had a finish, but I guess we're going to keep going. Whatever. It just was, you could tell like Pee Wee Anderson's hand hit the ground too quickly on the first one, and this was the actual finish because Tracy and Steve just kept going. So here's the actual finish when they hit their jaw jack or whatever. Tennessee
okay,
torpedo,
so would you have preferred in that situation that Pee Wee goes, match is over, and Smothers and Armstrong just throw the second guy out of the ring too, and we're done?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it's like, wait, what happened here?
Yeah, it got a little weird there.
Yeah.
That reminded me of like when you're sitting in a meeting room or something, and the new hires or the younger people straight out of college start their PowerPoint presentation. And it's clear that we don't need to talk about that today, or that, hey, 2 slides into 20, you're good. We got this. No problem. We're done. And they keep going through all their slides, and you're like, bruh, shut up. When it's over, it's over.
It's over. Jim Ross, as they went to commercial, says, JYD is up next. He is the biggest dog in the yard. Hide your Alpo. That's what JR said. Don't come to me. That's what JR said. And as soon as we come back from commercial, we go to JYD versus Rick Stockhauser. And JYD is announced at 310 pounds, which there's no way he's not. He's definitely more than that. We get a lazy-looking thump from JYD. Look at this, Doc. He picks the guy up, and I think he's so blown up, he just can't really go with it like he wants to. Dog,
it's a
so
sad
bad.
state of affairs. It is a sad state of affairs when JYD is the first, really on the card tonight. Because,
Yeah, we're an hour in, and we've seen so many folks. But before we talk about that, Teddy Long comes in after the match and confronts JYD. Then Sullivan comes in and gets JYD. And then finally, One Man Gang comes in, and he's getting in on JYD with a few 747s. It takes Ron Simmons hitting the ring to save the dog. Do you have any thoughts on Ron Simmons coming out and saving the dog?
No, I got no problem with it. The only problem I have with any of this is JYD's lack of conditioning.
Boy, you said that nicely.
In soccer, we call that he has a lack of fitness.
Yeah, you can say that again.
Uh-oh. Here comes Ron.
Look at him clear the ring, man. They don't want no part of Ron Simmons. No part of Ron Simmons. And that's how they go to commercial. All right. Anything else from that one, Doc? I'm guessing I'm getting to the point now where your notes
we're getting ready to get some notes.
Yeah. So there's a wrestling wrap-up with Gordon Soley. They're going to repeat. They're talking about the Japan Super Show, and they show
I'm going to go find that today and watch it.
They show a few snippets of footage again from the Japan Super Show with Sting and whatnot. You got any thoughts on the stuff they show here?
It's not enough. I want more, so I'm gonna go watch that show today.
I think you should. Report back to me. Let me know how it goes.
Okay.
From there, we go then to the State Patrol versus Dustin Rhodes and Ricky Morton, who are tag teaming now. This is a very competitive match. The State Patrol got a lot of offense in. A lot. I mean, they kind of gave these guys a whole lot of time, in my opinion. About 8 to 9 minutes. It felt like a lot. Competitive, back and forth. What'd you have from this one? Is this when your notes came back?
Yeah. And at some point, JR said something about the match being over, and Paulie said, "This is the State Patrol. This match isn't over until the cop finishes his donut."
Dude, he's a clown on commentary, man.
Yeah, I feel like there is no plan for Morton whatsoever. He's
they don't. No plan whatsoever. And that's why they're going to go the direction they're going to go with him soon.
So, yeah. And Eaton and him should have been put together as the Express.
Yeah, I never thought of it until you said it. But they would have been.
And the reason I say
that would have been excellent tag team partners.
And the reason I say that is, I don't want Dustin's a big, raw bone, big boy. I don't want him in a tag team.
No, I just need him in singles.
Right. So I mean,
and he's over too. Don't get it twisted, man. I mean, like people think, it's Dusty's son. He's getting the unfair push. No, he's over. Like the people love him.
There's a lot of talent in this promotion, and that's what tonight really is designed to show.
Yes, agreed.
This was a good match. It was competitive. It took a while, but it was good. They were good as a team. More stars doing star things.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting concept.
Yeah, Dustin hits the Bulldog and they get the win, man. It was really good stuff. No, I mean, I got no complaints about how this all went down. So after that, there is I just skipped past it, Doc. Did you have any notes from Jim Ross's interview with Alexander York and Mr. Hughes?
None.
Yeah, York talks about scouting Larry Zbyszko. It's pretty quick. She says this match that's coming up next will determine if he becomes a member of the York Foundation. And that match she is speaking of is heading to the ring now, where it's Terrence Taylor and Larry Zbyszko versus Bobby Eaton and the Z-Man. And it never gets old hearing the Midnight Express music when Eaton comes to the ring. And when Z-Man came in and he was getting on Terry Taylor, the crowd was loud. I gotta call it like I see it, man. They're behind the Z-Man. Again, you got talent in here. You got Bobby Eaton, Terry Taylor. I think Zbyszko's over. Everybody but Z-Man in here is a pretty good guy on the card, pretty high on the card. At least deserving of it. Doc, any thoughts on this match? They gave him a good bit of time.
Think Eaton misses Stan Lane right here?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
He'd never say that. I mean, if he was alive, he's Bobby. You know the whole thing. Bobby never had a bad word to say about anybody, so he wouldn't say it. But yeah, he's thinking it. Man, I wish they were here. I miss Stan and Jimmy. I wish they were here.
We've got some things on the line here, and so this match has some importance. And by the way, now we're getting to, not only are we having stars out here, but now stars are facing other stars. So this is not a normal Saturday night match. It means something. So Zbyszko's being scouted. There's a U.S. title out there for teams such as these, and everybody's thinking they keep saying Bobby's gonna win a singles title this year. So why you got him in a tag team? But whatever.
Yeah. And I have no doubt that Dusty, that was the direction. He was like, I'm definitely going to put a title on Bobby Eaton. But, I guess the thing here was they wanted to see how Zbyszko would do as a member of the York Foundation. So that's why they wanted to see what kind of chemistry we had with Terrence Taylor, I'm sorry. So that Alexander York can make a decision. But, yeah, I don't know. Bobby's going to get his, though. Don't worry. So what else you have from this one, Doc?
Man, I got to say, we talked about this on the last show, but I mean, the Rooster's been rehabbed here.
I don't think he gets the credit he deserves from being rehabbed.
Yeah.
He fits perfect because he's got that prick look to be a member of the York Foundation. It's perfect for him.
Yeah.
Like, it's perfect. It's more of a, I hate to say it, but if they'd have did the gimmick like that with him in the WWF,
it would have got over.
It would have got over so good. I mean, it's over here. It's just that, the promotion's not doing all that great.
And this was a long match, but it should be.
I agree. I mean, you got 4 top talents. You see, that gives
this isn't going to be over in 3 minutes.
Oh yeah, they give him time, which was good. So the finish, Terrence Taylor kicks out of a sunset flip. Z-Man hits a crossbody, but Taylor kicks out of it. There's a super kick that looked great by Z-Man actually, which we don't always see. Larry Zbyszko made the save. Then we get all 4 guys in the ring, and Bobby Eaton has just had enough of Terrence Taylor and Larry Zbyszko. And he hits Taylor with York's computer and then Zbyszko. And Hughes and Eaton stare down each other and square off at the end. Eaton and Z-Man are going to lose by DQ. And I think Mr. Hughes is going to powder out here. He's going to be like, you know what? 2-on-1. I'm going to get out of this ring. And that's how they go to commercial. Any other thoughts, Doc?
I thought this was good. First of all, if you hit somebody with a 1991 computer, it's murder.
It's a loaded weapon, bro.
Because they're going to be
the
about
equivalent
as big
of shooting somebody.
They're going to be as big and clunky as that phone that Paulie has. I really like the Mr. Hughes thing, man. He stepped in and was like, "This stops now."
Bro, I can't wait till I haven't seen it in years, but there's a Paulie hits Jason Hervey in the back of the head. I think it's on a Clash. Maybe it's the pay-per-view. Next one. I don't remember. I haven't seen it in a long time. And he freaking potatoes Hervey in the back of the head with that phone. And you know that phone ain't like the phone they making nowadays.
No, it was heavy.
Yeah. He blasted him in the back of the head with it. But I agree. You hit somebody with a computer back then, bro, they going to feel it. We'll go to the next match. It is the Steiner brothers versus Joe Kazana and Mark Kyle. I think they say Mark Kyle is from Los Angeles, California. If you ever hear him talk, which we did in Smoky Mountain once, far from Los Angeles.
I do have a timestamp for this one. 128.40.
128.40. I'm going to go to it in 2 seconds.
It's just strength.
So it's a picture promo from the Steiners talking about how they hold the IWGP tag titles, U.S. titles, and world titles. But as we know, the U.S. titles are being stripped from them. You say 128.40?
Yeah.
All right, let's see if I can get to it. All right, here we go. 128.37.
Let's just be strong.
Rick Steiner's got Kazana, shoots him into the corner. Oh, yeah. Kazana didn't need to help him there. Let's just say that. He just picked him up by the crotch and dumped him over. It was like a reverse power slam of sorts. And then Scott Steiner with a power slam. Good stuff. The Steiners are going to hit the Bulldog off the top rope, and the Steiners get the win. No surprise. Any thoughts, Doc?
I like the fact that it's not always a Frankensteiner to win.
Me too.
It keeps that move fresh.
And I think the Bulldog off the top rope is something nice as well. It looks a lot more devastating than what it actually is.
I mean, they're
good.
stealing the Road Warriors finish, but whatever.
No, they're not. I hate when you say that. So we go to commercial and come back, and we go to Nikita Koloff versus Dave Diamond and Jim Boss. Gary Michael Capetta cannot finish the intro when Nikita comes in and he just starts attacking his opponents. There is a picture-in-picture from Luger, says he's coming for Nikita because the best defense is a good offense. There are lots of loud Luger chants from the crowd, so don't be fooled here, man. The Georgia Mountain Center, the people here, they're into this. We got another star with Nikita. We didn't say it in the last match, but we had stars with the Steiners. So it's star after star on this week's episode, and it kind of does highlight, to Doc's point, the talent we have here. Doc, what do you have from this match, as Nikita's going to win it pretty quickly with the Russian sickle?
I like the fact that we're bringing out multiple people. He's not going to let this fool get his jacket off. He's all over him. He means business. This is, dude, he threw a nice lariat there on a guy running in. I'm going to pin everybody. And, Luger's got the support. Nikita's the new monster. What's not to like?
Yeah, I get. They're not doing everything wrong like you would think.
It's people true, would think, man. Wait for the ratings for today's show, bruh.
Yeah. I mean, they're out. The talent is there. You got this Nikita and Luger thing, and I know. I mean, some people might be like, well, the Cold War and whatever, and they're just rehashing stuff with this U.S. title, but it could be a lot worse. It could be worse. I mean, at least we don't have Trucker Norm or Norman the Lunatic here.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, let's go now to Nikita, who starts his promo screaming that he's the rightful owner of the U.S. title, and more from there. Here it is.
I'm here with the Russian Nightmare, Nikita Koloff, a man that is obsessed about being the next United States heavyweight champion.
I am the U.S. champion as far as I'm concerned. I am the U.S. champion. You understand me?
I understand what you're claiming, but Lex Luger still has possession of the belt.
Oh, here we go.
And here he comes. Well, he says, you want it? Here it is.
And they're going at it, and neither one is backing up on the other. Koloff and Luger going at it, toe-to-toe in the middle of the ring, man. This is one war that needs to be settled.
So Nikita starts his promo screaming, as I said, and he's the rightful owner of the U.S. title, and Luger comes out, and they start brawling. During this pull-apart, Nikita is going to get a hold of the U.S. title and the U.S. belt, and he hits Luger with it. And then he does something that I really thought was great. He gets the title, and he starts destroying it by slamming it against the ring post. Now, this ain't 1986, but I really did like what they did here with the pull apart. The Russian destroys the U.S. title. Like, there it is. He's got the belt now, and he's about to hit Luger with it. I think this is just kind of what you got to do, man. You got to do some craziness sometime, man. You can't just. This is good. Like, it goes back to that old discussion we had, Doc, where guys, you don't want them cutting 20-minute long promos. Let's just, make our point and talk some stuff, and then hit some guys with it and brutal, beat some people up. And that's what they did here, because this whole thing, it lasted like 2.5 minutes from the time Nikita starts talking till the time the fights break out, till the time Nikita destroys the U.S. title. So they ain't wasting much time, and he fucking batters that bitch against the damn ring post. Doc, what are your thoughts on this?
So somebody started talking trash. Somebody else didn't like it. They started fighting. I got to believe that, it's bad enough that people came out to separate us, the locker room emptied, so that tells us that we have a personal issue. And then, oh, by the way, he took my strap and he broke it. You ain't breaking that's my belt. You can't break that. Well, bro, he did. He wrapped it around that pole. And so we've got a personal issue, we've got grievances, and we got shit talking. Now, you can like or not like Luger and Nikita, but unlike AEW, the process is the process. We talk some shit, we have some personal issues, we escalate it, we have some grievances, and then we fight. That's the process. That's not what's being, no flips, no dives, no trampoline, no bullshit. See how the process is different. Poor Larry Santo.
What Doc's talking about here is, and I agree, that was good stuff with Nikita and Lex. I mean, that's how you build something up, man. You don't. Those two guys may not draw money. I'm personally like it. I'm okay with it. I'm ready to see it.
But if those two don't, then you take 2 other guys or 4 other guys and you run it through that same process until something clicks with the fans.
It ain't that fucking hard, guys. We ain't building a rocket. We're getting guys over in a fake fucking business.
It's
Devil so eloquently said.
I mean,
it ain't that hard, bro.
He didn't have to go to the desert and climb the tree of woe to find that out.
The Lady of the Third Eye.
Lady of the Third Eye.
Can you know how Budrow was talking about the Rubicon and that Colt Cabana? Can you imagine? I would have loved to have heard Sullivan and Budrow do a podcast together.
North versus South.
Talking about history. The Rubicon.
Well,
Devil,
Devil, this thing would be a whole lot different if we'd have won that war back in the 1860s, you know.
It would have been tremendous. Oh, man, to hear those two on a podcast together. Because, I mean, I think it's underrated. I mean, I never thought in 2015 I would hear Buddy Landell on a podcast talking about making an analogy with the Rubicon, talking to Colt Cabana, and Colt Cabana was freaking lost. I loved that was the other part. I don't think Colt had a clue. He's like, where the hell is he going with this? It's like the Rubicon, you know? And Colt's like, yeah, right, okay. I'm gonna listen to that today, man, when I get some time.
All right.
Anyway,
you're gonna listen to Boudreaux, and I'm gonna watch some WCW in Japan.
All right. Let's keep this show moving. The one-man gang, you heard Doc say, poor Larry Santo. The one-man gang is out there after commercial taking on Larry Santo with Kevin Sullivan and Teddy Long in his corner. You know, Sullivan continues to hold back gang like he's Norman the Lunatic. One-man gang is going to win with a 747. No surprise there. Doc, any thoughts from gang getting a win here?
He still looks impressive, and with that full head of hair and the things under his eyes and hanging out with Sullivan, you know, and having to like hold him by the head and stuff. It's a nice visual.
I oftentimes wonder how Gang is doing. I don't really see him on Facebook much anymore. I actually never see him posting on there like he used to. I know he lost all his stuff in the flooding in Baton Rouge years ago, and hadn't really seen much of him since then. I wonder if Gang's doing okay. I don't even see advertisements for him making like these events. So I just wonder how old Gang's doing these days. Because I mean, he's getting up there, man, in age, man. He ain't a young, you know, he ain't no spring chicken no more. But you're right, it is good to see the gang back. Speaking of gangs, Ron Simmons is literally a one-man gang, just not his name.
No, the one-man gang is the one-man gang.
No, I mean Ron can take care of business.
So you're saying he's a one-man gang and not the one-man gang.
Thank you for the clarification, O'Grady.
Okay,
I appreciate that. That's
hey,
exactly
you know, I feel like we're deep into our second hour, and you're still holding in there, kicking out of the fog, the brain fog. Your voice is coming around. I feel like this is, you know, we know the restorative power and the ability of this show to raise the dead and heal the sick. I think it's working on you.
Dude, my voice is starting to hurt. It's scratchy right now. I keep sipping water, just so you know, trying to get through this.
Maybe we should quit the show forever then.
Yeah, no.
We've lost our power to heal. What's the point?
Oh, man. Let's continue. The Danger Zone with Paulie Dangerously. He is interviewing Ron Simmons, and he's got some stuff to say. Once again, another star coming at you on this episode. The last match we had the gang. Previously we had Nikita. We had Lex. Now we're going to go to Ron Simmons.
Obviously, you can see that we're back here on TBS. You know, I was watching the monitor, and I saw what you did when Kevin Sullivan, Teddy Long, and the one-man gang took it upon themselves to destroy the Junkyard Dog. I saw what you did when you ran down that aisle to save the Junkyard Dog. And my question to you, Mr. Simmons, is this. Next weekend, you're going to walk down that very same aisle and enter in the Omni in Atlanta a lumberjack match against your former partner, Hacksaw Butch Reed. What if, Ron Simmons, one of those lumberjacks is 6 foot 10 inch, 412 pounds of the one-man gang?
You know something? I don't know what your eyes saw, but I know what mine and all these people saw. You must be blind. And another thing is this. What I should have did is what I should have done a long time back, is get out there fast enough to get my hands on that punk and take him out. Okay. Now let me tell you this. What Teddy Long did and showed me tonight was that he didn't ever care anything about Ron Simmons. What he did tonight was sit back wrestling 10 years. And when I finally get the drop on you, punk, I'm gonna take you out once and for all. And another thing, as far as Butch Reed is concerned, here's a man I let get closer to me than my own brother. And what happened? The minute I turned my back, there Teddy Long plot against me. But I'm not worried, because you know why? If there's one man that Ron Simmons can depend on, it's the Junkyard Dog. And I know that. And if he does bring out 6 foot 10, one-man gang, Kevin Sullivan, I know that Junkyard, the brother, be right there to take my side.
Oh, well, thanks for coming. Ron Simmons entering the danger zone, and now we're going up to the ring.
I mean, I don't know how Simmons was perfect there. I mean, it's not a promo that you're going to talk about in historic value, but I don't know what else you want him to do there, man. That was great.
He did what was required. He seems mad about it. He seems fired up about it. And you're right. His job is to not cut Ric Flair promos. So he did his job.
It was good. Good stuff. Really good stuff. So then we keep going, and the last match on the card, and the way we're going to go off air, is Arn Anderson and Sid Vicious are going to take on Sting and Elegante. We got star power here again. I mean, we do. We got Arn and Sid. And you can argue Sting. I know you hate him.
No. You don't have to even argue. I mean, he's a superstar in this company.
All right.
I don't think that's debatable.
This thing gets started with not much TV time left. I mean, we're bumping up against the hour, top of the hour when it starts. So they kind of milk things for a minute or two before we actually get the match started. And Sid and Elegante do the whole stare down thing. You know, Elegante's the big man, and so, I mean, that's good. You kind of want that. And then it starts with Sting and Arn, and then it's Sting and Sid, and the fans are reacting to it. They're into this thing. Elegante finally gets tagged in with like less than 2 minutes before we're out of TV time. The crowd, give them credit. They reacted. You know, they didn't just poo-poo it. Sid comes in. He's going to hit Elegante from behind, but Elegante no-sells it. Elegante, he puts Sid in that trapezoid-type claw. Sid ends up being occupied with Elegante. Sting out of nowhere is going to hit Arn with a crossbody, and Arn is going to eat the pin for this match in like 4 minutes time. And JR and Paulie send us off air. And I literally am watching this going, I wonder how mad Doc's going to be that Arn is the one who eats the pin in this thing. But
I'm not,
what do you have from
okay.
this?
I'm not mad that he ate the pin, because that's predictable from a mile away. Make sense?
Say that again. I'm not sure I understand.
I'm not mad that Arn ate the pin, because if anybody is going to, it's going to be him.
You know what? You nailed it. The dude he's a businessman.
So the point
Arn ain't got no problem taking a pin, bro.
The problem I had with this is that it deserved more than 4 minutes. And we just gave away a bunch of stuff we didn't need to give away for a 4-minute match that didn't mean as much as it should have. I mean, so here's the thing. Sting and Sid get in there, and, you know, we have built Sid up to be a monster, and he's getting over. Whether you think about softball season or scissor fights or whatever, right now he's getting over. And Sting immediately takes him off his feet.
So that made you more mad than Arn eating the pin.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Sting's an established talent. I mean, we can't act like Sting's
that. So
not.
Why are we giving that away now?
Well, it's not like Sting and Sid are in a feud.
No, but this to me was, look, it was star power. Don't get me wrong, but it was unnecessary, and especially the way they did it. Arn's great there with his facials with El Gigante. He's like, nah, bruh. He's look at that face.
Dude, we sing Arn's praises for years on this show. We never stop singing his praises since the beginning. Arn is the promo guy.
And I watch how fast he goes off his feet.
Sid?
Yeah.
But we'll see it here, but I will say it again. I was going to repeat what you were saying. Arn is a star in this match. It's quick, but he's a star.
Okay.
Yeah, so Sting 1, 2, 3 punches. They reverse. Sting comes off the ropes. Clothesline. Sid's off his
21 seconds.
You timed it.
Sid comes in, stands over Sting, and in 21 seconds he's flat on his back in the ring.
Yeah, I hear you.
And so my whole point is, if you're going to pin somebody, I get that it's Arn. I don't think you needed to pin anybody on TV. Why not go off the air with this in progress?
Yeah, you could have did that. And
the truth is probably behind the scenes where the Horsemen suck. They're over. They're old. Nobody cares about the Horsemen. I mean, fuck. I mean, herd shit. But the crowd's into this. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying. Like, you can argue El Gigante having star power, but
I mean, this is goofy.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's El Gigante. How can it not be goofy?
Yeah, what do you expect? Like, that's the thing with El Gigante is like, what?
I mean, saying that El Gigante is goofy, I mean, buy the ticket, take the ride. That's what this is.
Yeah, I agree.
This is kind of a mess.
Yeah, 1, 2,
and they rushed it.
Arn wins. Yeah, I agree. They could have just went off air with him still
Arn
fighting.
Didn't win. You said Arn won.
No, that's what I meant.
So you sent the crowd home happy, but at what cost?
Yeah. No, I hear you. And that's how the show ends.
That's how the show ends.
Yep, that's how it ends. Yep. So on that note,
we've been going for a while. I mean, now it's time. What do you want to talk about next?
I want to talk about how bad I have to pee. How's that sound?
Did the sickness get your prostate all swollen up so you got to pee a lot?
Nah, man, but I'm gonna tell you something. So I was trying to drink a lot of fluid, to stay from getting dehydrated, and because I was, so I had this sweats and chills too, and so I'm drinking drinking a lot of Gatorade and water, and the worst part about that is when you had to get up and go pee. Oh my God.
You should have had a catheter put in.
I damn near told my wife to go to a store and get me a bedpan.
Oh no.
But I didn't go there. Oh man, it was brutal. But anyway, all right, so that's how they go off air. And before we go off air, we need to rate it, hand out a Rolex, and we're going to do that in 2 seconds. Before we do so, please consider becoming a patron at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. That's tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. A great way to support this show. You get tons of extra content in return for becoming a patron. And we got some clashes coming up again. We got Super Brawl coming up. But all of the clashes we've done in the past are on Patreon, along with all of our pay-per-views from WCW on Patreon as well. You can listen to those there. You can also listen to the World Class Show with Lance and myself. You can check out the NWA Power Show with the little fella Half Pint and his Nobody Circles the Wagons Like the Buffalo Bills and whatnot on the NWA Power Show with him and Sparks, the Transformer. And you can check out the ECW Show with Mike and JV, all on Patreon at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. A great way to support the show. Get tons of extra content. Lots of stuff there. The video versions of these that Doc and I always talk about are all on Patreon. And do me a favor, when you see me post the shows on Patreon, make sure you tell all the friends in the BTT Army on Facebook and Twitter, become a patron just like you are and get all that extra content. All right, Doc, go to you first. What are you going to rate it?
Man, This show was packed, stacked,
It really was.
and jacked.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed not to rust, combust, or get dust.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you, no rib, I flirted with giving this thing an A+.
Oh, wow.
But the booking at the last match did upset me enough that I'm going to say just a straight A.
Yeah, I'm going with an A as well. I don't, to give it an A+, it would have to have been one of those ridiculously great 1986 episodes, right?
But
it
again,
like that.
But again, you said something earlier. This ain't as bad as you think it would be in 1991.
No, and they've had to your point, they've had a nice little run.
Well, and we've weeded out the true nonsense and like the juicer and I mean, let's be fair. We're not huge fans of watching Tom Zink wrestle, but he's not on the same level as Trucker Norman and the juicer.
Yeah, that's the thing about stuff like that. When I complain about things like Tom Zink and the Z-Man, what he's doing.
And Spivey.
And right.
They're at least wrestlers.
Yeah, at least wrestlers, and at least they're, not stupid like the Juicer and Trucker Norm. And I mean, yeah, so okay, then who are you giving your Rolex to?
Our floor has risen some, so that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there's a lot of opportunities for the Rolex this week, and certainly, letting Rick have the mic with Missy gives him an advantage. But I'm going with Arn because he was funny with El Gigante, and he did eat the pin and did business in that final match.
Yeah, I think it would be a crime to not go with Arn because the non-audio, just the visuals with Arn. First, he ate the pin, and then two, his reaction to El Gigante when he ends up in El Gigante's corner and his eyes get real big and he crawfishes away from it. I mean, that's wrestling. That's Arn being a pro's pro, along with taking the pin. So I'm going with Arn as well. So, Doc, one other thing before we get out of here, just need to mention Hardbody Harper's video shout-out relationship advice service. If you would like a video from Hardbody Harper, all you have to do is email him to chrisharper16 wildcat with a K at gmail.com. That's chrisharper16 wildcat with a K at gmail.com. And then make sure you PayPal him $20 to cc30388cc at yahoo.com to get your very own Hardbody Harper relationship advice video shout-out from him. He can also request a video for him to cut a promo on friends, family members, people you hate, people you love, or anyone out there that you want to give a special shout out to. Again, it's chrisharper16 wildcat with a K at gmail.com. That's the email address. Make sure when you email him what you want in your video, make sure you are very descriptive on what that is. And then don't forget to PayPal him $20 to cc30388cc at yahoo.com. Doc, anything else before we get out of here? We did go very long on this episode. This might have been our longest in a long time.
We do the work that's needed for the job, and so there was a lot of things happening in our world, the current wrestling world, and we had us, a hot episode today. It required us to go a little bit longer, and you know what? We're okay doing that. On a serious note, I think I speak for the entire BTT Army when I say we're glad that you were able to spit out the ventilator, kick out on 2 and 2.5, and rejoin the living. We had a prayer vigil over here at the mansion for you just the other night. Filled up that test tube of telethon prayer warrior counts for the Lord. Good to see you're up and moving around.
Thanks, pal. Appreciate it.
I think Harper was worried that you were going to die or something.
No.
Because he's like, I don't get it. It's not that bad.
Yeah, of course. I said it all along. I was like, when I finally get this thing, I'm going to be the one who's struggling. And I'm telling you, man, my wife was just like, now I'm the one who doesn't take the freaking vitamin D like I'm supposed to. And I'm the one who doesn't do this.
Well, here's the thing. What if you didn't take all that stuff? You might have died.
I don't know, man. Who knows?
Here's
let me clarify too. We didn't talk about this. My doctor did advise when the needle first came out for it. He's like, yeah, you should get it. Your age and you're in good shape. But my doctor, who I trust, and I've been going to him for a decade and a half, if not longer at this point. He was the one who was like, yeah, you should get it. And then of course, we have certain work restrictions where it wouldn't have been a choice anyway. We had to get it for work. But, so I had those things in me as well. And I still had again, I was never at risk of going to the hospital. Let me be clear. But fever,
it wasn't fun.
That fever was no joke.
I got one last question. I was going to ask you earlier and I forgot. So you told me like 2 months ago that you feel like with the prevalence that it's been in the community that you'd already had it once. You still feel that way, or do you think this was your first time?
I find it hard to believe with 2 kids in school that this would have been the first time. I feel like I would have gotten it before and just maybe didn't know it. Maybe it was just something quick. And this time was just a different strain. Now, there's no way of knowing that.
Sure.
But the thing is, when you got kids in school, the amount of
you are exposed to. Here's the thing: if they came home from school and said somebody at school has malaria, I'd be like, shit.
Bruh, that's what I'm saying. Like when you got kids in school, whether you got grade schoolers, middle schoolers, high schoolers, I got high schoolers, they are coming home and they go to a very large high school. Bruh, they are constantly, to me, exposed to this stuff because of just I was asking my daughter, I was like, okay, when y'all go to lunch, this is, even before, this is last year, this is when they still had like the mask things at school where you had to wear one at school, right? Like, I'm like, they're at lunch, they're eating, they're right next to each other. It's not like they're social distancing. So in my mind, I'm already thinking, probably there's no way that I hadn't been exposed. So I really feel like there's no way this was my first go around. It just may have been a different strain of it. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, we don't know.
But
it's not important. Well,
shout out to Dr. Blassie for the advice.
Yeah, we've got a lot of professions covered in the Army. We got doctors and lawyers and forklift drivers and all the different things covered. We get some legal advice, we get some medical advice, and if I need to move this pallet from here to over there, we call Mullet and Morton, and we get that done.
Man, I hope that dude's alive. I haven't seen a tweet for him in a long time.
Maybe he got banned.
No, I mean, last I checked, the Twitter was still there.
Maybe he hates us now.
I think he still follows the show.
Maybe he's on a one-man mission to save the supply chains, and he's busy moving pallets around.
Could be.
All right. Well, the good news is that you're up and semi-mobile and continuing your lengthy recovery from this devastating illness. And we have many more years of BTT to look forward to.
Very true. On that note, Doc, do what Harper always does.
Circle, dot. Oh, book it, bitch.